On today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast, Steve Carell and Ted Lasso creator Bill Lawrence are bringing a brand new 30-minute sitcom to HBO. Also, if the new Ryan Reynolds film scored a $35 million opening weekend to replace Apes as the #1 film, Garfield hasn't even opened in North America yet, and it's already made about 80% of its budget. There's a report going around that Hawkeye Season 2 with Jeremy Renner is actually in development right now. Are those legit? We'll discuss that. And tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine are on sale as of 6 a.m. this morning, and theaters are already starting to sell out. We're going to talk about that and a whole bunch more. So greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is John Campea. Thanks for joining us here on the show today. In studio with me, I got Ray Ora.
Hey, what's up?
Got Jonathan Voico.
Hey, guys.
Robert Meyer Burnett is here.
Well, hello there.
And most importantly, you guys are here. Now, here's how today's show is going to go. We're going to start off by going through all those topics I just listed off. Then in the second part of the show, we're going to take your questions. Now, we're doing it a bit of a new way. We do not have super chats turned on. So if you'd like to get a question on our show, simply use our tip link by going to www.streamelements.com/JohnCampea/tip, submit one there. And the neat thing about this link is that you can use it 24 hours a day. Now, we're going to start to use that on the John Campea Show because 80% of the people who watch our show can't watch live because of time zones, or they're at work, or they're at school. And so we want to make sure people can get their questions in too. So go ahead and use that link and send in your questions there. All right. With that down, guys, let's get things started here, shall we, with this. Well, it may not be the Steve Carell news we were hoping to hear, him joining The Office again. It is nonetheless good Steve Carell news, as Steve Carell is joining up with the creator of Ted Lasso, Shrinking, which I think is the funniest comedy on TV right now, and Scrubs as well, Bill Lawrence, and they're bringing a half-hour comedy series to HBO. This comes to us from Deadline, who write the following. A college comedy series starring Steve Carell has landed a 10-episode straight-to-series order from HBO. The half-hour, I missed it. Where did I go? I lost my set. The half-hour project comes from veteran comedy writers Bill Lawrence, Ted Lasso, and Matt Terrace, the Goldbergs, and Warner Brothers Television, where Lawrence, Dozer, Banner, and Terrace are under overall deals. It goes on to say, Carell and Terrace executive produced alongside Jeff Lawrence, Jeff Ingold, and Lisa Katzer of Dozer Productions. The series is produced by Dozer and associated with Warner Brothers Television. All right. This is, for those of you who might be old enough to remember, this is Hulk Hogan and Randy Macho Man Savage forming the Superpowers. That's what it was called, right, Ray?
Yeah.
They were the Superpowers. The Mega Powers. That's what they were. This is them coming together to form the Mega Tower. This is the formation of Voltron. It's Steve Carell and Bill Lawrence together working on a series. Now, I will confess, the last Steve Carell series did not do it for me. That Space Force one. Remember that? That he had Lisa Kudrow was in.
It wasn't great.
From Friends. It had its moments, and it certainly had its charm, but I fell off the series after a few episodes, and I never went back to it. But this sounds great. Apparently, Steve Carell, it's a college comedy. He's a professor, an author, and he's dealing with his relationship with the daughter. Honestly, the DNA sounds a little bit like Shrinking, which, again, I think is a good thing because Shrinking, to me, is the best comedy on television right now. But anyway, Rob, you hear about this. What are your thoughts? What are your expectations?
This better be damn funny, because what a talent list they've created here. I mean, why wouldn't you be excited about this? You know me. I mean, I'm not the Office acolyte.
You are the Office virgin. As
I was the Office virgin. You took my Office virginity away from me by showing it to me for the first time. But I've always been a Steve Carell fan, and this team, I expect great things as Emperor Palpatine would say, and I will be looking upon this with great
interest.
No, I think this is great. I love seeing great, talented people come together to make what will hopefully be something great.
And honestly, as big of a fan as I am of Steve Carell, and I'm a massive fan of Steve Carell. Yeah, me too. The key piece of this puzzle to me is actually Bill Lawrence.
Yes.
You know, the guy who created Ted Lasso, which was a cultural phenomenon. Scrubs is still talked about and beloved today. The guys from Scrubs are still doing commercials.
I know, man. I love those commercials.
They're singing and dancing for, what is it, for T-Mobile or whatever it is?
They even got Aquaman in one of them.
Yeah, that's right. That Jason Momoa. Yeah. I mean, and like I said, Shrinking, I know a lot of you guys still haven't seen it, but it is the best Harrison Ford has been in years. And Jason Segel's amazing. I think it's the best comedy out there. And now combining him with Steve Carell, I mean, obviously expectations are going to be really high. Again, it may not be the Office reunion we were hoping for, but this will do. Anyway, guys, question is for you. What do you think about this? Whatever your thoughts are, jump down to the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right. With that down, guys, let's move on to this, shall we? The new John Krasinski and Ryan Reynolds film, If, is of course now in theaters, and it had a fairly decent opening weekend. Well, some might call it excellent. Now, it was originally projected to make around 40, and then it had a pretty abysmal Thursday opening, which made them change their projections to 30. And then I guess word of mouth caught on, and it actually ended up with $35 million in its opening weekend, which was good enough to overtake Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes for #1 at the box office. Now, this comes just from the Hollywood Reporter, who write the following. Paramount insiders say If's performance is a victory for original fare, noting that it is one of the top openings ever for an original live-action PG title. Critics dissed the film. When does the Hollywood Reporter start using the word dissed? Anyway, critics dissed the film, but audiences awarded it with an A cinema score and strong exits, which are key ingredients needed for a word of mouth and long run as kids begin their summer break. If is also drawing an ethnically diverse audience, which is another plus. Families made up 56% of the audience, while it skewed female by 54%. Anyway, look, I already did my review for the movie. I loved the movie. I thought it was absolutely wonderful. You know, I emphasize the fact that, again, I always say that movies are experiential events, and If made me feel all the way through. It had Anne ugly crying through half of it. And listen, again, though, it only, last I checked, went down to 50% on Rotten Tomatoes, but it was maintaining an 87% audience score, and the cinema score for it is an A. I mean, so audiences, it's clearly connecting with audiences. It's connecting with half the critics as well. I'm one of that half. But I'm glad to see that it's doing well. I mean, again, it's unfortunate that it didn't do even better, but a $35 million opening for this, I think, is actually pretty good. Anyway, Rob, you heard the results of this. How should they feel about, you know, a $35 million opening for this little film?
Well, you know, everybody that I've talked to who's seen this movie really enjoyed it. And I think they were hoping that it would catch fire like something like E.T. But like you pointed out, I don't think this was particularly marketed that well. And I think that it's done okay. I mean, foreign, it added some money to the coffers. I hope it does. I hope word of mouth keeps it afloat for a while longer, because I like Krasinski a lot. This is a big swing at an original IP, like you were saying. And I think we need more movies like this. My biggest fear, though, is this film costs over $100 million.
I think it was about 110.
I mean, I'm like, Hollywood has got to figure out how to make these movies cheaper. Because if this movie was made for $75 million, I'm sure the fees were high. But a movie, I mean, the fact that we've normalized $100 million films seems to me foolhardy. A movie like this shouldn't have cost that much money. No. I don't think.
No, it really should. And you know what? I don't have any numbers in front of me, but I would be curious to find out how much needlessly they paid for the voice cast. Mm-hmm. And I'm not talking about Steve Carell,
right?
Because he's the main imaginary friend character, right? But when you've got George Clooney and Bradley Cooper, and I mean, listen, just go, the list is long. The list is long of big things. Now, I don't know if they did it for day rate or if they each demanded top dollar and that accounted for, you know, just the voice cast maybe accounted for 20 million of the budget, which again, Steve Carell, the one as the main lead character, I get. You did not need these big stars, because going through the movie, I didn't know who the voices were. I didn't know who the voices were. It didn't need to be some big super mega stars. They could have gotten out and gotten whatever. So that aside, there is a lot of CGI. There's a lot of CG characters, yes, all that kind of stuff. So I understand it's not going to be a cheap movie, but I was a little bit surprised when I looked at it and I saw $110 million. Like, and I'm sure Reynolds probably accounted for 15 of that at least. And then however much they paid for the voice acting, I mean, it should have been cheaper. It should have been cheaper.
Yeah, I mean, that's part of the reason the business is in such trouble, is that movies like this, everyone gets all their monies and their fees up front. I know, you know, Jimmy Fallon said in Almost Famous, you get what you can, while you can, when you can, and all that. That's what he said. You think the Rolling Stones are going to be performing when they're 50? Yes. But the thing is, I understand that's what people are interested in, but I would make, this isn't good. It's not good for the business when you spend this much money and you don't have the kind of return that $100 million spend should bring you. The first $100 million movie was Terminator 2 back in 91. It made $500 million at that time, and that was extraordinary. And it was made on a very compressed production schedule. But this, I don't know, man. It's not good for the business.
Well, it only needs to make about 175 after marketing costs and all that kind of stuff to break even, which I think with, a $35 million opening just domestically, they could be on track to do, especially if it gets good word of mouth.
Yeah, we'll see.
That. So most importantly, it's a good little movie. I'm glad it did as well as it did. Guys, question is for you. What do you think about this for an opening weekend for If? It's going to face stiff competition going into its second weekend because we've got a Garfield movie coming and we've got a little, what's that Sand in the Desert movie? Oh yeah, Furiosa coming. So it's going to have some headwinds going against it. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, that down. Let's talk about this, shall we? As I just mentioned, there's another movie opening this week called Garfield. Now, I am not a cat guy, but I am a Garfield guy. I grew up as a kid when book club would come around and they'd bring our orders so we could order books. I would always order the new Garfield book as a kid. I loved Garfield, the little lasagna eating son of a bitch. I loved that little cat. I really did, even though I hate cats. Now, I really didn't think there was a good case to be made to make this Garfield movie. I didn't think people wanted it. I think it's a done franchise, even though I grew up loving it. And I really didn't think anybody would be interested. Well, I got proved wrong because when the fan event screenings opened up, they all sold out in like 2 days. Sold out in like 2 days. That was the advanced fan screenings of them, but still huge. And now, more anecdotal evidence, as the movie hasn't even opened domestically yet, and it's already made back 80% of its budget. This comes to us from the folks over at Screen Rant who write the following. The Garfield movie has nearly made back its entire budget before opening in domestic theaters. The animated feature from Sony Pictures stars Chris Pratt as the voice of the iconic orange cat, who reunites with his father, Vic, voiced by Samuel L. Jackson, over the course of a new big screen adventure. The star-studded voice cast also includes Nicholas Hoult as John Arbuckle, Harvey Guillén, I have no idea who that is, as Odie. The 2024 Garfield movie premiered in certain international markets on May 1st, though its domestic release is not set until the end of the month over the Memorial Day holiday weekend in the US. Now, this is where the numbers get crunched down. It's a $60 million price tag on the movie, and it's already made $49 million. This movie hasn't opened domestically yet. And from what I've seen, it's projected right now that it's going to have an equal to If opening weekend. It's going to have a $35 million opening weekend. That's what they're projecting. Could be higher, could be a little bit lower, but they're projecting $35 million. That would mean that on its opening weekend, this movie would have made $85 million on a $60 million budget in its first weekend. Which, I mean, goes to show there is a hunger still out there for Garfield. And it goes to show, if you're doing an animated movie, you bet your ass you better get Chris Pratt to be the lead voice. Because apparently that's the magic formula, I guess. Lego movie? I don't know. Let's get Chris Pratt. Mario Brothers? Sure. Chris Pratt is Mario. Garfield? Let's get Chris Pratt. Is that a joke? No, I'm serious. Let's get Chris Pratt to do the voice of Garfield. I don't know. Anyway, Rob, you're seeing these numbers coming in. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm shocked. I am absolutely shocked.
There's gambling going on.
I'm looking forward to seeing it, though, now. What do you think of these numbers?
I to be honest, I'm quite surprised. I always thought of Garfield as being a little beyond its time.
Absolutely.
Like I remember Garfield. When I was a kid, my mother was a big Garfield. She had Garfield sweatshirts and stuff like that because she's a crazy cat lady. But I apparently I was wrong. And I love being wrong when especially it comes to the entertainment business. And I think that this groundswell of Garfield support has been fun to see. And apparently it's global. So go Garfield. And, I guess Chris Pratt can do no wrong. Although I will say this. I think Chris Pratt is pretty stellar casting for Garfield.
I didn't see it. I I love Chris. Everybody knows I adore Chris Pratt. I didn't see it in the same way that I didn't see it as Mario.
Yeah, well, I think his attitude, I saw it much more because Chris Pratt. People forget. Like I remember seeing him in Moneyball.
Yeah,
and I was like, wow, he's really good.
He's really good in that.
As this vulnerable guy, like doesn't know, like, why do you want me? You want me to come play baseball again? And he's actually a really great actor.
Wasn't he also in Zero Dark 30?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, and he was really good in that too.
And then seeing him as Star-Lord, I mean, he's a really versatile actor. It doesn't surprise me that he knocks it out of the park as Garfield. And I'm going to be very curious to see what this movie makes domestically. But again, I am happy that any movie is making money, especially theatrically. So am I surprised? Yeah. But I'm more surprised that Garfield as an IP still has this much gas in the tank.
I'll tell you
Go
what,
Garfield.
the first person that said to me, I can't wait to see Garfield, was Ray Ora. To which I thought, that is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. You're going to be the only one, Ray, the only one that's actually excited about this. And then I came home and I told my wife, you know what your brother said? He said and she goes, before you say anything, can we get our advance tickets for Garfield? Now, what did my brother say? Nothing, baby. Nothing. I wasn't going to say a thing. And then all of a sudden, everybody, the advance tickets are showing up. Okay, Ray, as the very first person that even indicated to me there was some enthusiasm for Garfield, does this surprise you?
We were talking about this after we watched the Blue Angels. They played the full Garfield trailer.
Oh, okay.
Right? And I was talking to you about it. I was like, you know what? I'm excited for Garfield, even though watching that trailer, none of the jokes were funny to me. I have no idea what's pulling me towards wanting to watch this movie.
That's what surprised me too, because I did not find the trailers funny.
The trailer is trash, to be honest.
And everybody's loving it.
Like the jokes, none of them made me laugh. I was like, is this the best jokes that are going to be in there? But yet, I still want to see it. I have no idea. I think it's the baby Garfield, which will probably be on screen for about 2 minutes. But that 2 minutes is going to be the cutest.
What was the name of the little cat that they bring in? Remember in Garfield, there was Garfield, Odie, and then there was the little cat.
Oh, there was like, oh, yeah.
I can't remember what it was. An N in his name? Nermal, or saying last year. Thank you. I knew it was an N. Nermal. So anyway, yeah, but that's just baby Garfield, and it's not normal in the trailers.
So basically, I still want to watch this. I have no idea why. Because the trailers didn't get to me at all.
And got our tickets already.
Okay.
And bought our tickets, so we're good to go. Question is for you guys. What do you think about this? Apparently Garfield's going to be a big hit. I am shocked and surprised. I hope I love it. I really do, because I grew up loving Garfield. But man, I got to tell you guys, for me, the trailers have not clicked. But obviously they're clicking for some people, and I hope I adore it. Whatever you guys think about it, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. All right, guys, listen. We still got to talk about these rumors going around that there's a Hawkeye season 2 with Jeremy Renner also returning in development. And, of course, Deadpool and Wolverine. The tickets have gone on sale. No ticket watch because it was at 6 a.m. We're going to talk about those things in just a minute. But before we do, we're going to take a couple seconds here and thank a few sponsors of today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast, our friends at Cuts Clothing and Liquid IV. Guys, we want to take a second to thank a sponsor of today's video, Cuts Clothing. Let's be real. Most guys would wear a t-shirt every day of their lives if we could. The problem is that most t-shirts are not acceptable to wear at work or out on a hot date. Today's sponsor, Cuts, has finally changed that. Cuts t-shirts are such high quality, wrinkle-free, and so buttery soft that you can look like you're dressing up even when you're dressing down. Yeah, you heard that right. They are wrinkle-free. And for a limited time, you can save money while redefining the dress code by heading to cutsclothing.com and use the code Campea for 20% off. Guys, you know me, when it comes to clothing, my number one priority is comfort, and I could not believe just how comfortable my Cuts shirt was. It was light, it breathed, it felt like $1 million, and it made me feel like I looked like $1 million too. And the best part? Cuts Clothing is built to last. Their durable construction means you'll be enjoying your favorite shirts and pants for years to come, making them a smart investment for your wardrobe. So guys, for a limited time, our listeners get 20% off your entire order when you use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off your order at cutsclothing.com with the promo code Campea. Please support our show by telling them that the John Campea Show sent you. Experience the perfect blend of style and comfort with Cuts Clothing. Guys, we want to thank the sponsor of today's video, Liquid IV. You know, it seems like summer's just designed to make us thirsty, whether it's camping, hiking, playing sports, and staying hydrated is the key to making the most of every moment. Because summer requires extraordinary hydration that's built for everyday dehydrating moments. Liquid IV hydrates you with benefits like electrolytes, essential vitamins, and clinically tested nutrients. With 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink, plus 8 vitamins and nutrients in a single stick, it's clearly why Liquid IV is the #1 powdered hydration brand in America. It has 3 times the electrolytes of the leading sports drink. Just tear, pour, and live more. Just 1 stick plus 16 ounces of water hydrates better than water alone. With 8 vitamins and nutrients, non-GMO and free from gluten, dairy, and soy. There's no artificial colors or sweeteners, and it's got 4 delicious sugar-free flavors: white peach, green grape, raspberry melon, and lemon lime. So turn your ordinary water into extraordinary hydration with Liquid IV. Get 20% off your first order of Liquid IV when you go to liquidiv.com and use the code Campea at checkout. That's 20% off your first order when you shop Better Hydration today using promo code Campea at liquidiv.com. And thank you to our friends at Cuts Clothing and Liquid IV for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, guys, with that down, let's get into this, shall we? You know, one of the first batch of Marvel MCU shows that came out was Hawkeye. And I got to confess, I did not love it. I love Jeremy Renner. Like, I adore Jeremy Renner. And Kate Bishop, played by Haley Steinfeld. Haley is like one of my wife's favorite celebrities. She loves her. So we watch it with great interest. Had its upside, had a couple of decent episodes. I confess I love the Tracksuit Boys.
Tracksuit Mafia.
Yeah, I call them the Tracksuit Boys.
Yeah.
I get a kick out of them. Overall, I thought the show was, it was whatever. It was okay. But after, Jeremy Renner's close to New Year's Eve horrible accident that nearly killed him.
Yeah.
It's great seeing him back on his feet and getting involved again. And now he might even be coming back for a Hawkeye season 2. This comes to us from Joe Blow. Their headline reads, "A Hawkeye season 2 with the raid-like trappings is reportedly in development with Jeremy Renner and Haley Steinfeld." So they wrote this: "Grab your quiver of trick arrows and prep a box of macaroni and cheese because Kate Bishop and Clint Barton could return for Hawkeye season 2. A target with a rumor at its bullseye is making the rounds today, with whispers of Marvel developing a follow-up to 2021's Hawkeye series on Disney+. The rumor comes from industry scooper My Time to Shine, who is sometimes right, sometimes wrong, who says Marvel plans to put Steinfeld's Kate Bishop and Jeremy Renner Clint Barton at the center of an outrageous plot with the Raid-like elements." Now, for a lot of people, if you're going to say something's going to be like the Raid, that'll pique up a lot of action film fans' ears, because the Raid is considered by many to be like the Picasso of action films.
The Rad.
The Rad and the Rad.
And the
2.
Rad 2 even radder.
Yeah, for a lot of action films, it's the Picasso for a lot of people. And, that gets people excited. All right. Let me just say that this coming from a Twitter source that is sometimes right, sometimes wrong. The reason I bring it up here is because this is not the first time I've heard this whisper. Somebody whispered this to me about a week and a half or 2 weeks ago. And frankly, I dismissed it. I dismissed it. Now, seeing somebody else now coming out and saying it, I still don't know that I buy into it, to be honest with you, but it gives it at least a little bit more leverage that I think it becomes an interesting point of conversation. Because the question then is, should they even bother doing a Hawkeye season 2? And then, of course, the question is, if they ever did one, would Jeremy Renner come back? Because quite frankly, as much as I love Haley Steinfeld, and I thought Kate Bishop was a really interesting character, I'm not interested in Kate Bishop being Hawkeye. Well, John, I don't care. I am not interested in Kate Bishop being Hawkeye. I'm not interested in a Hawkeye season 2 if Jeremy Renner's in it. And even if Jeremy Renner's in it, I'm not super excited for it because I didn't think the first season, was frankly all that great. But with the end of the Marvels, and of course, Kamala Khan going out and seeking out Kate Bishop, which was a really cool little end button on the movie. I like that. It was kind of fun. And especially after his accident, there is something in me that is even more yearning to see Jeremy Renner kicking ass on the screen again as Hawkeye. And as an OG Avenger, part of the weakness of Marvel lately has been they've kind of abandoned their original roots. Like Tony's gone, Steve is gone, Scarlet's gone, all that kind of stuff. And to have an OG Avenger still having a presence in the MCU could be important. Anyway, Rob, I don't know that I buy that this is happening, but I'll say this. If it does happen, I'm open to it. I'm not going to pretend I'm super excited about it, but I'm open to it mostly because of Jeremy Renner. What do you think?
Well, I feel the same way you do. I mean, I thought it was interesting. I understand the Mad Faction story that they were adapting, but to me, I mean, he was a SHIELD agent. The guy's a secret agent. He's a globe-trotting secret agent. And during the snapping, he was out there killing fools that were in part of the underworld globally. He was off the reservation just murdering people. And I'm like, when I watched the Hawkeye show, I'm like, this is the story you've chosen to tell us? I understand they want Kate Bishop and her wacky family and all that, but I'm like, why is this? You could tell us any story about Hawkeye. You did not tell us a badass Hawkeye story. And I felt that the episodes, like the story of that show it should have been one episode. It felt like it was all strung out. I got to the point where I'm like, what am I even watching? Why is Hawkeye involved in this? It should have been like, if it was a Kate Bishop show about Christmas time and all that, I would have been okay. But it was so frustrating to watch that show because I'm like, why? You've got to make Hawkeye a badass. He's like you said, an OG Avenger. Give him something cool to do. Give him a globe-trotting. I mean, I guess they did this with Falcon and Winter Soldier, but put him on some kind of a great mission. And I just felt like he was wasted in his own show, and they had him like hanging out domestically. In apartments and stuff. I get it, but I'm like, and his family's there for Christmas, and I'm like, just go be with your family. It's like, oh, I can't come home now. I'm like, you're not doing anything that's really that important. Go home to your wife and kids. I'm like, give me a story where I felt like there was some stakes. It was almost like, well, I got to protect this girl because, she really liked me when I was protecting her during the Chitauri.
Well, no, remember, there was the MacGuffin about the item that he knows is directly connected to his wife, and we don't find this out till a little bit later.
I know.
I'll say this. The basic, and I say this as somebody who wasn't a big fan of the show, the basic idea of, Clint, who had, number one, as a SHIELD agent, then got violated, taken over by Loki, and nearly took out the Avengers, and then lost his family to the snap, went on a murderous rampage across the globe, killing untold numbers of people.
Right.
Then to get his wife back, and kind of like an Unforgiven, wanting to get his life. He wants a different life now. That to me is not a bad setup. But I agree with you in the sense that once you are there, that's your setup, that's your point, that's where we find Clint. I have no problem with where we find Clint when we start the show. My problem is that I agree with you after that. It almost didn't feel necessary for him to be there.
No.
And it needed to be his show. If you want to use it as a vehicle to also introduce Kate Bishop, that's fine too, but Kate Bishop needs to be in the passenger seat, not the driver's seat. And they did a pretty good job introducing
the car chase was good though.
I love that shot with the rotating camera.
That was good.
The show, don't get me wrong, the show has its moments.
Yeah.
Like I said, the Tracksuit Mafia, well, everybody universally agrees they are stupid. I'd be lying if I didn't tell you I was giggling and smiling when they'd be talking about which concert to take his girlfriend to, and bro. I laughed every time, I will admit. The show had its moments.
I just thought, I mean, it did, and I didn't hate it. I'm just saying that is this the show that you want to tell about a character like Hawkeye? And I get what they're doing, but I still wanted a show that felt like it had more stakes, that was larger in scope, that had just more going on. And at the same time, you had this, the nefarious stuff that was going on with Kate Bishop's mom and her suitor and all that. And it was weird and baroque. That's the word I would say. It's baroque, and I don't understand why it was.
Yeah. Now, what about this, though? What about them saying they're going to come back? in a raid-like kind of movie. Which okay, so
Are they
maybe
going
I'm
to attack
wrong.
a building?
Well, so see, that's what I'm thinking, right? Like maybe my head is going in the wrong direction, but I'm thinking, okay, where the two of them are now, where the series, like probably 6 episodes, because that's what Marvel does, a 6-episode thing, which is basically them running a what's the phrase for it when you're going through a series, the not the gauntlet, what's it called?
gauntlet.
What's
The
that?
gauntlet.
The gauntlet. Running. Why did I freeze on gauntlet? Anyway,
That's a Clint
where it's
Eastwood movie.
basically a 6-episode of them running through a gauntlet of trying to get to whoever and whatever the final boss is. And it's more action orientated. Put a good underlying reason about why they're doing this gauntlet. I'll tell you what, that could work. I mean, that could work for me. I think that has some potential. What do you think?
Yeah, it could. I mean, I just think that there's more interesting tales to tell as a SHIELD agent, I mean, I felt the same way about the Marvels. You know, here you could have told an Empire Strikes Back-esque story about what was Captain Marvel dealing with during the 5 years of the snap when the galaxy was falling apart as well. You could have done something really spectacular.
But did we want to do a prequel? Because we're like the timeline of the MCU's moved past that now.
It could have tied into the current day. It could have been, again, Godfather 2, that stuff. Something happened in that 5-year thing.
Flashbacking back and forth.
Yeah, and there's some, because, they made it into a glorified TV movie. And I think that's the real problem that I'm having, is that you're taking these characters, Hawkeye, in the Avengers, like you said, taken over by Loki. And then the opening of Endgame is just a heart-wrenching ending or opening.
Yeah.
And then you go into Mr. Fantasy. That was a genius way to open that movie. And then you kind of made Hawkeye sort of mundane. He's like walking the streets of New York in half that
But that's
movie.
kind of, I didn't mind that because that's what he wanted to be.
I know,
Like,
but
even if you go all the way back to Civil War, right? We saw glimpses in Clint of, this is what I want to get back
Yeah,
to.
he
It's
had
almost
his
time
fa-
for me
I-
to come
I
back
know,
to being
but
a family man, right?
is that good Avengers drama?
But you needed something more than just, I bumped into this girl. Look, because if you're doing the Unforgiven thing, right? Where they give us flashes in Civil War that he wants to become back to the family man. He gets his family back after the 5-year snap, and he commits to himself, I am now not, in Clint, not going to lead a life of sin. I'm now going to be a good family man, whatever, right? That's great. You need something bigger that makes him pull a Corleone saying, every time I think I'm out, they pull me. Something
Yes.
that's not like something. So if they can pull something like that off in season 2, which obviously at the end of season 1, Clint's back with his family, right? He's barbecuing up. He's handed the suit over. Give me something good and compelling. Look, I don't want to be the downer. Kill one of his kids.
Oh, dude.
Look,
Wow, you went from 0 to 60.
no,
pretty
but
fast.
listen. You need something that is going to take this man, like Unforgiven, right? That's going to take this man who is now, by the end of season 1, he is now settled. He's the family man, period. If you want something really damn compelling, maybe a little dark, that is going to bring the Ronin back out and say, okay. And in his best John Wick, people keep asking me if I'm back. Yeah, I think I'm back. You have somebody, whether on purpose or inadvertently, kill one of his kids. Now you've got a Ronin that is singularly focused, and God help anybody in his way. And with a Kate Bishop going alongside him to get that, because she's obviously started to develop a connection with his family too by the end of the first season. You kill one of his kids, you've suddenly I got goosebumps on my arm. You just brought back the Ronin, and you're going to be sorry. And I'm instantly on board. You do that, I'm instantly on board. But is that too dark? I don't know. What do you
Killing
think?
kids? Yeah, kind of.
Killing kids?
Yeah, because he essentially lost his kids for 5 years. He thought they
But he
were
got him
dead.
back?
Yeah, but he didn't know that.
But what else can you do what else can you do that is going to be something that can bring back out the Ronin? Something that would cause so much anger and so much rage for him to forsake that he finally got his family life, and he's willing to leave that family life again to go on to a raid-like kind of thing. What else can you do?
Well, you lethal weapon it up. Somebody that like Mr. Hunsaker at the beginning, whose daughter dies, and then an old
Right.
friend of an old friend of Hawkeye's. has something terrible that happened, and he comes to Hawkeye for help. You need to help me, and you owe me for this, and that's how you're off to the races.
It's time for Marvel to start killing kids. No, but but I'm being serious. Like, you killed John Wick's puppy. You have Hawkeye lose one of his kids, dude. Just think of the fury.
But he did lose
the rage.
I can't.
But he got him back. Anyway, you're gonna have to come up with something big to bring him back out, though. You can't just do.
You're an evil man, John.
I
Killing
bumped into
kids.
this girl in the street, so now I got to go off on this adventure. Like, you can't do that again. Like,
you could have handled that in like an afternoon, and still, honey, I can't come. I can't. Yeah, I know you've been shopping for 3 episodes, but I can't come home.
Kill his kids. Anyway, question is for you guys. What do you think? Just one of his kids. He's got a couple. Okay. Whatever you guys think, jump down to the comment section below and let me know your thoughts. By the way, Isaiah Jones in the live chat put it perfectly. His family is the only thing holding him together. You do something to the family.
But do you want Ronan or do you want Hawkeye?
I want Ronan.
But this is called Hawkeye Season 2.
Well, Ronan is Hawkeye.
No.
Yes. No, he is Hawkeye. Anyway. All right, guys, with that down, let's move on to this, shall we? Today is the day. Woo! The tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine have gone on sale and are available now. Now, of course, we weren't able to do what we wanted to do, which was a ticket watch, because they dropped the tickets at 6 a.m. this morning. Which, by the way, was a really smart move on their part. Because with things like No Way Home, even Doctor Strange the Multiverse of Madness, obviously with the Avengers, they had a bunch of problems with tickets, people having to wait in queues and all that kind of stuff. You do it 6 a.m. in the morning, you'll get a slow trickle in, and it'll build up. And from what I understand, there haven't been any problems. So Deadpool and Wolverine go on sale. By the way, they dropped a new poster. Take a look at this. That I really like with the announcement of the tickets going on sale. Very simple, but very effective. Like, I really do like this poster a lot. They also released what they called a new teaser trailer, which is literally 5 seconds of footage that we haven't seen before. Everything else stuff we've had before. Just with that last line about, just a minute, I'm almost finished. Finished doing what? Getting my knife out of your ass. Like that was funny. That was really good. But how did the ticket sales do at 6 a.m. in the morning? Well, here's the deal. Ann and I got up and we decided, okay, the first screenings are at 3 p.m. So we decided to start looking across. Now, we got our tickets because we were up at 6. But as of about an hour ago, these are the movie theaters, all within about 20 miles of us, with those first 3 p.m. screenings. First, we look at AMC Burbank 16. Sold out. By the way, I define sold out as if nothing but front row and single seats are still available. Yeah. I consider that sold out. There is 1-2 single seats available in the first 2 rows. So AMC Burbank 16, sold out. My movie theater, the AMC Tyler Galleria in Riverside, sold out.
Yep.
AMC Dine-In Ontario Mills, sold out. Let's see. Victoria Gardens, AMC Victoria Gardens. We still got, let me refresh this. We still got a couple of seats in the second row that are still available. So we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 seats in the second row still available.
Yeah.
We look over at the AMC Dine-In Theater. Got a couple in the first few rows available. We look at the AMC Tustin 14. Got 3 seats available in the second row. And we go to the AMC Orange 30, sold out with 2 seats available in the second row.
What about IMAX?
I didn't look at the IMAX. I was just going through and looking at the first things. But if I wanted to go through, and let's say I wanted to go to the Tyler Galleria, and I want to look at Deadpool and Wolverine. Okay, you know what? No, let's go to the AMC Burbank 16, which is a more reflective. And I'm looking for Deadpool and Wolverine, and we'll go to the first. Oh, that's weird. The first IMAX screening is until 10 p.m.
Oh.
Is that
Like
Thursday?
Thursday. Yeah, the Thursday
Well, because they're doing 3D before
Oh,
that.
right. 3D is useless. So what's their first Dolby Cinema screening? 6:15 p.m. And I remember there's a 3 p.m. showing, so that's already sold out. So for their 6 p.m. one, A couple in the first. There's some seats in the first 2 rows.
Out of
which is not where you
curiosity,
wanna
though,
go.
how many went for the 3D? Because
So,
it is a 4 p.m. in IMAX.
I wouldn't go for 3D, but I'll take a look. IMAX 3D. I don't think there's going to be many.
Yeah, it's
well, about half sold
good, but not great.
in the IMAX 3D.
I think 3D hurt it.
I am definitely not going to a 3D screen.
There you go.
The
10
10
o'clock.
p.m. screening.
There's the real G's.
Holy crap. At 10 p.m.? Anyway,
That's going to be the most rock and roll screening.
Yeah.
maybe. Or the 3 p.m. screenings are going to be the one of the most diehards, the one who got up the earliest to go get their tickets. Point is, with tickets going on sale at 6 a.m., there are already screenings across the country selling out. Now, one of the things I do want to point out, though, there are a lot of screenings. Check this out. So, like, this is just that opening Thursday.
Right.
Look at all these screenings.
That's a lot of screens,
Look
man.
at all these screenings. I have no doubt because this one theater is going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 19, no, so 20, 25. There are going to be 29 screenings of Deadpool and Wolverine on the first day, just at the AMC Burbank 16. 29 screenings. So I have no doubt if you're in the Burbank area and you want to go see Deadpool and Wolverine, the movie is still over 2 months away. I think you're probably safe for the next day or two. You can probably get tickets for day one if you want them with 29 screenings. But all the early ones are now sold out, which is kind of crazy. Anyway, Rob, you're seeing these numbers, screenings selling out already, with a movie that is still over 2 months away, which makes me wonder why they're selling the tickets this early. Anyway, what's your first thoughts about all this?
This movie's going to make a lot of money.
Oh, yes.
Now,
Yes, it is.
John, this isn't surprising that people, I mean, obviously, this is a film that everybody's waiting to see. I understand why. You've got almost 25 years, say 20 years of Fox's X-Men franchise. A lot of movies there combined, and Deadpool combined over with the MCU and cameos galore and whatever the chewy center of this movie is going to be. There's no reason why people shouldn't be excited. My question to you is, how much money is this movie going to make? What do you think the opening weekend's going to be? Judging after seeing, obviously, the reaction 2 months out.
Before I answer that, just you can bring this up, Jonathan. This is the second days. The IMAX is almost, the main middle section's already sold out. The front section's all the thing. That's the second day of the thing being open. All right. Again, how much money this movie is going to make overall is going to be completely dependent on how good the movie is.
Yep.
Right?
For the
Like, we
repeat.
all agree with that.
100%.
Right?
For the
100%.
repeaters.
So, like, if the movie is crap, which I have a hard time believing it will be, but if it is, there have been a lot of movies we've been excited about that turn out to be garbage. So it is possible that this movie is garbage. So if this movie's garbage, there'll be a significant difference than if it's amazing and people go back to see it 3 or 4 times. By the way, Ann and I already have our tickets for 3 p.m. and 6:15 p.m. on that opening day. We're going to go see it twice opening day. That being said, if the movie is awesome, it joins the $1 billion club. I mean, I've been saying that from day one. I have I feel very, very comfortable saying it. If this movie is really good, let's just say on par with the average of Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2, this movie makes $1 billion. I think the audience is dying to have a comic book movie they love again.
I agree.
And this could be it, especially after my second viewing of Madam Web the other day. Which we talked about on Open Mic yesterday. Now, so the bigger question becomes, which you take out of the equation, how good is the movie? If you take that out, then we're looking at opening weekend. I think this has $150 million opening weekend. I think this has a monster opening weekend. I mean, not Avengers opening weekend, not Spider-Man No Way Home opening weekend, but I think this movie has a monstrous opening weekend of $150 million. And again, if the movie is good,
Yes.
this is a $1 billion film. How do you see it?
Well, with you, I feel the same way. I think it might even do more if it's good than 150 million. I think it could be enormously huge. My only worry about this film is, the first Deadpool movie, for all of its humor, was actually a good film.
Oh yeah,
It
was
had a
good
romance.
movie.
It had interesting pathos. It had great comedy, but it really worked. The action was great. It was stripped down. It was a $65 million movie. Our boy Tim did a great job directing it. Really liked the film. Totally fresh. I hope this is a good film. I hope it doesn't get too bogged down in the multiverse of it all, the cameos of it all, the gimmicks of it all. If it doesn't have something at its core that stands apart from all of that gobbledygook, it isn't going to work. And that's my only fear for the film.
You know why I feel okay about it now? Because I agree with you, but you know what makes me feel okay? Seeing the trailer and the footage that we saw at CinemaCon.
Right, which I didn't see.
Even in the midst, but they do hint at it in the trailers. In the midst of all the technical term gobbledygook
It is technical.
of multiverse and whatever, at its core, the way they clearly showed us that this movie is framed, this is about Deadpool trying to save the people he loves.
Right, which is great.
Which takes us back really to the DNA of the first film, right?
Yeah.
So this is all about, at the heart of it, this is about Deadpool trying to save the people he loves and doing whatever it is he needs to do to accomplish that. So I feel good about that. By the way, I've needed to read this. Marvel and Disney, not Ray Ora, Disney has put out a new official synopsis for Deadpool and Wolverine from Disney. This is what it reads. Marvel Studios presents their most significant mistake to date. Deadpool and Wolverine. A listless Wade Wilson toils away in civilian life, his days as the morally flexible mercenary Deadpool behind him. When his home world faces an existential threat, Wade must reluctantly suit up again with an even more reluctantliest. He must convince a reluctant Wolverine to fuck. Synopsises are so fucking stupid. That comes to us from Disney.
And so begins one of the greatest marketing campaigns in the history of cinema.
Here's the thing. We are still 2 months away from this movie coming out. I brought it up earlier. I don't even know why they put the tickets on sale already. I mean, why not wait another 3 or 4 weeks? I don't know. But, I mean, I think they are just starting. To your point, Rob, I think they are just starting to ramp this up. And, we did our video the other day about the cameos. Listen, the cameos are not going to make this movie good.
No.
Right? The cameos are going to be quick little things in there. I personally think half the cameos in the movie are going to be Wade going around trying to recruit other multi-dimensional versions of heroes to try to come and help him save his world. And he ultimately has to settle with a broken down Wolverine. I don't know that that's the case. I'm just guessing. But I mean, whether there's 100 cameos or 2 cameos in it, that's not going to make the movie good or bad. What's going to make the movie good or bad is if it's good or bad, right? And the cameos will either be funny little moments or they're going to be novelty distractions. I mean, whatever. So that's not the case. But I mean, I think you're right. I think they're just starting to get going on how big of a marketing campaign this is going to be. I think they got some wild stuff. Did you see by the way, Ryan Reynolds just did a video interview on some red carpet yesterday, and he was talking about Hugh Jackman. Did you see that? No. Guy asks him, Ryan, I remember talking to Hugh Jackman years ago around Logan. He said he was done as Wolverine. He's putting the claws away. He's not playing Wolverine again. How did you bring him back? And Ryan Reynolds goes, well, first, I think we should point out the obvious, that Hugh Jackman is a fucking liar. He is at his basest, just doesn't even know how to tell the truth. He's just a liar. Which, again, if we can get 2 months of that, I am so completely down. I'm done for this. So let's get opening weekend box office predictions. Jonathan, opening weekend box office prediction, even though we're 2 months out from the movie, and we'll probably ask this question again 3 or 4 times between now and then. But now an early opening weekend box office projection for Deadpool and Wolverine.
160.
160, Ray.
172.
172, Rob.
168.
168. Okay, so we're going from 150 to 172. Guys in the live chat, go ahead and throw yours in. Hank Dunn is saying 150. Michael Gonzalez is saying 180. Global CPUI is saying 200. Listen, I've heard other people say 200 million. Joe Adonis is saying 212. Oh, Dondi is saying 300. Come on. No. It ain't going to be 300. By the way, save that clip in case it does open to 300. It ain't going to open to 300. So a lot of between, like, I'm seeing the lows around 120, the highs around 200. So it looks like there's a definitive window in there. I don't know. Guys, question is for you. What do you think? The tickets for Deadpool and Wolverine are now on sale. With the number of screenings there are, there's, even with other screenings selling out, there's still tickets for you to get for opening day if you want. If not, opening week. I know Jonathan's got his tickets for the Sunday.
Yep.
What are you guys doing? Have you got your tickets already? How many are you planning to get? I'm going to see it twice on opening day. Whatever you guys think, jump down into the comment section below and let us know your thoughts. By the way, Collins E is saying the movie will make $1 billion.
Oh, boy.
Anyway, guys, with that down, we're now going to move on to the most important part of our show, of course, which is taking your live comments and questions. But before we do, we're going to take another quick moment here and thank another sponsor of today's episode of the John Campea Show, our friends at The Wellness Company. Guys, we want to thank a sponsor of today's video, The Wellness Company. Okay, so you wake up with a scratchy throat, congestion, runny nose, and cough. You know your body. You know you're getting sick. So your choices are tough it out, get sick and take time off work, or hope the doctor can see you this month, or wait 2 hours at urgent care and sit in a room full of sick people, or open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to the doctor-recommended prescription. Start on the right meds and nip this in the bud now. Your medical emergency kit is not a first aid kit. It comes with doctor-prescribed meds to treat over 39 medical issues. Strong antibiotics for infections of all types, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, bronchitis, and so much more. Plus, a doctor's easy guide so you'll know exactly what to take and when. There's no waiting to see the doctor, no waiting at the pharmacy. It's all in here. Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit. Order yours online in just minutes. Your kit will be rushed right to your door, and you can get 15% off at twc.health/Campea and use promo code Campea when you check out. That's promo code Campea at twc.health/Campea. And thank you to our friends at The Wellness Company for sponsoring today's episode of the John Campea Show podcast. All right, with that down, let's get over to your questions here, shall we? Jonathan, what we got up first?
Gabe Baker. Marvel announced Deadpool tickets go on sale tomorrow. Theory.
So this obviously came in last night.
Yeah, this is going to be dated for sure. Release date is moving people either to June 21st, 28th, or the 4th. Well, we know that's not true. Have wide releases ever had 2 months in advance ticket sales? Movie has to move up to from July 26th, right?
Okay, so here's the thing. For those of you who don't remember, I have speculated that Marvel is going to shock the world and actually have Deadpool and Wolverine release earlier than the July 26th, which is really July 25th, the Thursday. I'm sure there have been tickets that have gone on sale more than 2 months in advance. I can't personally remember it, but maybe it's happened. I'm still not convinced they won't do it. I'm still not convinced that sometime in the next 3 weeks, we don't get an announcement of, oh, by the way, special advanced screenings of Deadpool and Wolverine on June 29th or whatever across the United States on 2,000 screens only for 1 weekend or something like that. And a whole bunch of other people go and buy more tickets and stuff like that. I'm not saying that's likely. I'm not saying I would put money on it. I'm just saying if that announcement gets made, I will not be surprised.
All those other people would be spoiled a month in advance. Like, you can't hide from those.
Well, no, but it wouldn't be hiding. It would be, they would put it on enough screens that anybody who wanted to see it could see it.
Yeah.
Like, it's not going to be like one theater in each city. It'll be like 30 screenings per day. So I don't know. I wouldn't put money on it. I'm just saying I wouldn't be surprised. All right, what's next?
All right, we got BK Dan. John in the Department of Shows canceled too early. I humbly submit Moonlight. It's about a vampire PI in Los Angeles. It stars Alex Olau Lynn from 2007.
A vampire?
It was good. I remember that show.
Do you remember it? What was it about?
A vampire PI. Just like you said. I mean, it was a good show, but it wasn't, You know, I think
Was that like an era when there was like a whole ton of vampire
Yeah.
shows out?
yes, yes, it was. Yes, it was. But it was good. I mean, there was a lot of shows like that, and you know, there's another vampire show that only ran 6 episodes called Ultraviolet. It was a BBC show.
I remember a movie by that.
Yeah,
that,
different thing,
remember-
totally
yeah.
different thing. And the show was really, and they never used the word vampire in the entire series.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got Anonymous who says, John, if in Deadpool and Wolverine they do a cameo of a character that isn't a Marvel character, who do you think that could be? For me, I think another 20th century character, because the logo in that in the Void, be funny to see like an Alien or Caesar.
I mean,
I don't think it'd be anything current.
yeah. Look, here's the problem with that. They already did that in Ready Player One, right? With all these cross things. I'm not expecting it. Like, I know there would be a kind of a cool thing that Caesar shows up, you know, Andy Serkis is in the MCU, so having him pop up doing motion captures, yeah, there's something to that, but I just don't see the point of it. So I'm going to guess there won't be. That's my guess at any rate. All right, what's next?
All right, next up we got Murray Reich. If Jonathan is on the show today, I am. By the time my question is read, I would like to ask him the following question. I only have one kid who's 13 months old. Is it weird to bring him to an animated movie, or should I wait till they're older? Me personally, I'd wait till they're older because they'd appreciate it more, but also kids can be, you don't know, right? Like what if he starts crying through it and disturbs other people? You might have to get up and attend to him, or he might just be asleep during the movie. So me personally, I would add a few more months onto that. That's just my personal opinion.
I agree. All right, what's next?
Okay. Confused says, long viewer here, would love to hear your guys' advice. I'm nearly 23, studying hard for my CS degree, but I feel like it stopped being fun. My last girlfriend was 2 years ago. Friends broke contact, have girlfriends, and I feel really stressed and alone. What am I doing wrong?
First of all, the first thing you're doing wrong is that you're asking somebody who's not qualified to answer that question properly. Here's what I would suggest, honestly. We have sponsors on our show, part of this. There are others as well. When you face times like that, go and seek out help. And you know what? I say this in our ad spots, like one of our sponsors is BetterHelp, and I say this on the ad spot, but it's absolutely true. When we feel like we need to get ourselves stronger physically, we have no problem saying, I'm going to get to the gym. And we have no problems encouraging each other, saying, yeah, man, let's get to the gym, all that kind of stuff. We need to destigmatize that about our mental health as well, because we all struggle. We feel weak sometimes, all that kind of stuff about going and getting help. And we need to start looking at it as a move of strength, like we do when we say we're going to go to the gym to try to improve ourselves physically. We go and seek out counseling and therapy when it's time to toughen ourselves up or make our base stronger mentally as well. And so I would highly encourage you to not ask some idiot on a movie YouTube show about what you should do. I would say take that step of strength, seek out therapy, because it's just something that I think especially men need to do more, and destigmatize it as a sign of weakness. We don't look at going to the gym as a sign of weakness. We look at that as a sign of strength. Going to therapy is not a sign of weakness. It's a sign of strength. And I would really encourage you to do that. All right. What's next?
All right. We got, and Calagon the Black, Pillow People. Did you guys see the photos of Billy Zane as Marlon Brando at the set of Waltzing with Brando?
Crazy.
Uncanny resemblance.
You've seen it?
Yeah, I saw him this morning. Crazy. I mean, I looked at the picture and I was like, I had to read the caption. I'm like, that's Billy Zane? And you can see it, but it's pretty amazing.
Huh.
It's pretty. I think it was on Deadline.
I'll have to go. I have not checked that out. I'll have to go take a look at it.
Yeah. And speaking of Brando, I started The Offer finally. I'm through
Are
3
you
episodes.
3 episodes into
So
it now?
much fun. Matthew Good, man.
You know
Come
what?
on.
I think I
Bob
got to go
Evans.
back, do a rewatch of The Offer. You know, because it's the dude who played Brando in that. It was like a dude from, what's the name of that hospital show? Grey's Anatomy. Just this dude from that I've never seen in anything else other than Grey's Anatomy. And he did a great Brando in that.
Yeah.
So, Billy Zane. You should listen to your friend Billy Zane. He's a cool dude. All right, what's next?
Dylan's Dialogue says, hey there, John. I made a ranking video of 11 live-action Star Wars movies, and I swear people lost their minds when I ranked The Force Awakens higher than Revenge of the Sith.
You're the only sane person in a room of maniacs then.
One, it's not that big of a deal. And
Wait,
two,
bring it up. Which one did he say he put above?
keep it Force Awakens above.
Absolutely, Force Awakens is miles better than Revenge of the Sith. Revenge of the Sith, look, I'll give it its props. It is the least bad of the prequel nonsense.
Yeah, it's my favorite of the prequel.
I'll even say it's better than The Rise of Skywalker. But it's, Phantom Menace, or The Force Awakens, I should say, is better than the Attack of the Sith. Anyway. All right, what's next?
Duck Duck. Buenas tardes. I have been disappointed with my more anticipated films this year so far, Apes and Godzilla. Challengers came out of nowhere, but I loved it.
It was really good.
Intense all throughout with a unique dance music score. Performances were amazing, and the dialogue.
Yeah, listen, for me, Challengers wasn't quite as good as I was kind of expecting, only because I went in with like Oscar potential expectations.
Made like $80 million.
But it's a very good movie. And it just kind of proves again that Zendaya, she's legit.
She's the real deal.
She is the real deal, and we will still be talking about her at awards time 10 years from now. And this is one of those movies that really kind of anchored that for me. All right, what's next?
So this is more from Duck Duck. He's kind of still talking about...
okay.
So made the characters feel so real, and the way the movie jumps back and forth like a tennis game was brilliant. The buildup of all the desires, emotions, events was also satisfying. 3 terrible people with Zendaya manipulating them with the power she knows she has over them. I lost my place. Knowing that she loves tennis more than anything and continues to manipulate people, both of them with lust and twisting against each other till the very end. All for good effing tennis.
I would say this. It reminds me a little bit. I know this is going to sound weird. It reminded me a little bit of Succession, in the sense that there's no true good guy in the movie in many ways, right? And that adds a beauty to the complexity. So yeah, good, solid film. All right, what's next?
Jay Newby, still haven't watched Madam Web. Dude, it's so good. Watch it. It's not, and skip Deadpool. Watch that. It's not that I refuse to watch it. Netflix just requires me to upgrade my subscription to watch. And that I refuse to do. What do you have to upgrade to?
I found out the other day, because Ray pointed out during a conversation that like I was going to watch Madam Web at home, Ray said, but you needed to have the upgraded Netflix account. You can't just have the base level ads account. It won't work on there. You have to have the whatever. Can you imagine having to jump through hoops to go watch Madam Web?
I really can't. And if you did, you'll learn what disappointment really means.
But you know what? It's one of these things that it is such a touchstone. It's so bad you almost got to watch it. Not so bad it's good. No. I'm not saying it's so bad it's good. But so bad that you just got to experience it to understand what everybody's talking about. That's all I'm going to say. All right. What's next?
All right. And Callaghan is back. Hello, John and crew. Wouldn't it be great if the next Star Wars trilogy was directed by Christopher Nolan, Denis Villeneuve, and Steven Spielberg, one movie each?
Not
that would
really.
Be so varying and
not really. I don't think that would be. I don't think that would create a cohesive, consistent trilogy of movies. I really don't. Listen, everybody knows who watches this show. I adore Christopher Nolan. I don't think he's a good choice to direct a Star Wars movie. Now, don't get me wrong. Obviously, talent trumps everything. If they were to announce tomorrow that Christopher Nolan was doing a Star Wars movie, of course I'd be on board. Yes, but realistically, I've said this for years. I don't think his approach is the approach you take in a world of Star Wars. And you try to do him and then a Denis movie and then a Spielberg movie, it's going to feel kind of in a way like the Star Wars sequels, in the sense that they're going to feel disjointed and without consistency. I'm not saying you have to have the same director, but those are 3 very varying styles. I want a Steven Spielberg directed Star Wars movie. I've wanted that for decades. He's the true guy that George Lucas, I think, would trust with doing Star Wars movies. But I mean, the other two of the greatest directors in the world. So, all right, what's next?
JT says, not sure if you've already brought this up, but as I was watching Inside Out again to prep for the new one, I looked up the cast list and saw that Paul Walter voices Embarrassment. Dude is absolutely winning.
Paul Walter Hauser's agent
is making a is printing money, man.
He's Hollywood's MVP right now. He is getting, it's like he's the agent for cranberries. Cranberries are in everything. Like cranberry juice is in everything. That's his agent. Paul Walter Hauser right now is in everything. And yeah, he better be buying his agent like big Christmas gifts.
Well,
huge.
Yeah. I mean, he's getting what? His agent gets what? 10% of that? Or is it 20? What's the
Depends
rate?
what their deal is, but yeah, 10,
Yeah.
15, 20.
But I mean, it can't be too much because then you got agents, then get something like that.
Lawyers.
Management, lawyers.
Management,
Yeah,
yeah.
it gets eaten up a lot. All right, what's next?
All right. Jim Corrigan says, a good example of how animation does not translate to live action is Ahsoka. I felt like it was written as another season of Rebels, but it did not work in live action.
Ahsoka did not work. Now, there were episodes. There was one or two in particular that I really liked. And I got my hopes up but it fell flat. It wasn't very good.
I don't even know what it was about, to be honest.
But here's the thing. Like, it's not that I don't like the live action iteration of Ahsoka. Like, I loved her in Mandalorian.
I did too.
Right? I like
did
the
too.
way they introduced her Mandalorian was so good.
Yeah.
That I actually got really stoked for the live action version of the show, but it was just so disappointing.
It's not that it can't translate. It's just that they didn't translate it correctly.
Well, and the story, again,
I think it was better than Obi-Wan.
Yeah, but the story they chose to tell, looking for Ezra and all this, give me a story that was unconnected to what came before. Tell me something brand new. Leap ahead of all that stuff. I'm watching this going, what does this have to do with anything? You went to another galaxy? I'm out.
I feel like so much modern writing is just like, oh, it gets muddled. And they think that's like, oh, yeah, because you're in the weeds. And it's like, no, we're just lost. And it's like, why are we even doing? But it's the same thing with Hawkeye. It's like, why are we still like buffooning around? Like, can we move forward?
Yes, I felt that about Ahsoka too.
And here's the thing, and I think he's right too. I think if you took Ahsoka, because remember how I said, if you take X-Men 97 and you make it live action, but line for line, edit for edit, shot for shot in live action, it would come across as garbage.
Yeah, you'd be whipping your head around going, what?
I think Ahsoka, if it were animated, line for line, shot for shot, I think it might have come across better. I think it might have worked better as an animated. Like, I just felt like maybe it was suited more for that medium than it was for live action. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong.
I just think that Star Wars has to tell stories that aren't just about Star Wars. George Lucas was inspired by Kurosawa and so many other different things. Now all we're getting is Star Wars mythology upon Star Wars mythology upon Star Wars mythology. And I'm like, tell me an actual story that isn't about the Star Wars universe. Make it allegorical. Tell me something I don't know.
And maybe The Acolyte will be that. I don't know. Maybe it will. All right, what's next?
Well, we got Bry Guy or Brie Guy is very excited about the Powerpuff Girls. Says Cartoon Network's Powerpuff Girls is a super strong movie. It's coming out in May. It's PG-13, directed by Lauren Faust, story and screenplay by Faust as well. Therese Sayo, based on the characters from Powerpuff Girls. So letting us know that's on the pipeline.
I just got the whole series on physical media.
Did you seriously?
I did.
Are you a Powerpuff Girls guy?
I've never seen it. But
Then
it was
why
sent,
do you have the entire series on physical media?
because it was sent to me to review.
I've never seen it.
Okay, because okay. I'll
And
allow that.
I'll tell you a funny story about that. So Elizabeth's oldest daughter, Zoe, was like, oh my God, the Powerpuff Girls. My mother would never let me watch this. And I look at Elizabeth and I go, what the hell? She goes, I just don't like the style of the characters. I'm like, what does that mean? She goes, I don't like the way they look.
Wow.
I'm like, what do you mean you don't like the way they look? She goes, they look funny. I go, have you ever watched an episode? She's like, no. That's why I didn't watch it. I'm looking at her and go, who am I living with? You don't like the Powerpuff Girls? What? What's going on here?
You do realize sometimes Elizabeth tunes in and watches this show, right? I got to teach you, son. You got to be careful about how you
Look,
say
man,
things.
I love Elizabeth, but her take on the Powerpuff Girls, you know what I'm going to start doing? I'm going to watch every episode when she's home, and she's going to watch it, and she'll sit down and she'll go, this is pretty good.
What
I'm
if it's not? What if she was right?
They
She's
made a
not
whole
right.
box set. It's got to be fantastic.
She's
Gotta
not
be
right.
fantastic.
She's not
Physical
right.
media.
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
The box alone's worth it.
Yeah. Dennis says, hi, John and crew. Have any of you seen the Logan the Wolf fan film? My jaw dropped, was on the floor. How is it small crew budget can handily put Hollywood's huge crews budgets to shame?
First of all, I know that's said a lot. I have never seen a fan film that's put Hollywood to shame. It's never existed. They're great for fan films, for the limited thing they do. Now, I say all that having not seen this, but I've just heard people say that a lot about a lot of fan films, and it's never been true. Sometimes there are and I love fan films. Fan films are really good, can be really good, they can be really bad, but I've never yet seen one. The problem is we always judge them as fan films.
Yeah.
But if it was an actual studio that did the same thing, we would not think so highly about it.
Have you seen the new Mad Max fan film, Hope and Glory?
No, I've not.
It looks like if they made a Mad Max TV series, not a $100 million feature film, but it looks like it could be an episode of a Mad Max TV series. It's very impressive.
I think the best fan film I've ever seen where it trumps the actual Hollywood version is the Dragon Ball Fall of Man, I believe. Like if you see that, but albeit the Dragon Ball movie was
It's one of the worst movies ever.
one of the worst movies ever. So it didn't really have to do much.
But it's also easier. I'm not saying it's easy to make short films. I'm not. I've made short films. I know it's not easy to do.
Right.
But it's easier to make something look and feel good in a short little package than it is in a 2-hour movie.
Yes.
It's a totally different thing.
Remember, Avi, the Power Rangers, the R-rated Power Rangers?
Yes.
That was
Yes.
dope, but it was,
That was great
short.
for what it was.
Yes.
It was great for what it was, but it is what it was.
Yes.
Yeah, that's the thing. All right, what's next?
All right, popcorn and Coke. I love Seven and Zodiac. I haven't found another serial killer movie like them. Not slashers or horror, but just a cerebral hunt for the bad guy. Any recommendations? I would say series-wise, you could look at Mindhunter on Netflix.
Oh,
yeah.
Mindhunter is so good.
And
Which was
then-
made by David Fincher, who made both
And
of
then
those
the
movies.
first season would fall into that more than the other seasons of True
True Detective.
Detective. Movie-wise, you guys have...
I liked Along Came a Spider.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
And the first one, Kiss the Girls.
You know what? I'm sorry. I got them mixed up. Kiss the Girls.
You know, I recently
Along Came a
rewatched.
Spider wasn't bad either, but I prefer the first
It's
one.
pretty good.
Yeah.
Like I read all those Alex Cross novels, and they started out really well. Then they got a little. But those movies, especially Kiss the Girls, is pretty good.
What's the one with Jake Gyllenhaal and Hugh Jackman?
Oh, that's the Denis Villeneuve one.
Yeah.
It's
Prisoners.
Prisoners. Yeah,
And also,
that movie's amazing.
I also like The Lovely Bones for some reason.
It's not bad.
Love
you know
Bones
what's-
is bad.
If you like Seven, it's a shameless ripoff of Seven, but it's directed by Russell Mulcahy, who directed Highlander, and it stars Christopher Lambert, and it's called Resurrection. It's a total
I've
Seven
never
ripoff.
seen that one.
I think it's a Canadian production as well. But and I'll flat out say it's a total Seven ripoff. But Christopher Lambert and Leland Orser are in it.
The
And
only
it's
other
worth getting.
Christopher Lambert movie that I've seen, other than obviously the Highlander stuff and Mortal Kombat, is The Sicilian. You'd ever see that?
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. There's a director's cut of that.
Oh my, of course there is.
Is that a flatbread pizza movie?
And then-
All right, what's
yeah.
next?
Matan says, it's been 5 years since Game of Thrones ended.
Wow.
Here is for hopefully one day an animated remake that brings that does all this stuff removed to cater to brain dead NFL players, which I hope the showrunners won't do on Three Body Problem.
I have no idea what any of that meant.
Yeah, an animated version,
An
What,
animated version.
that does what?
but NFL
That
players.
remove
What is
wait,
he?
Let's just forget about the
That
last
does
part.
all-
Okay,
what
so
do you
like
think about what do you
a
think
Game
about an
of Thrones?
animated
No.
Game of Thrones series?
No.
Redone.
No. I mean, I wouldn't mind the idea of a in the world of Westeros, an animated series, but not just retelling the stuff that we're. Listen, the Game of Thrones series is the single most successful. I mean, this isn't hyperbole; it's fact. It's the most successful television show in history. It's won almost double more awards than anything else ever has. There's never been a TV show that touched on the pop cultural consciousness like it did. I don't think you remake it in animated. I think you can tell other stories if you want that.
I just
wouldn't
want
be-
George R.R. Martin to finish his book so I can read what he wanted.
I
the
don't think
ending
he
to
ever
be.
will. I honestly don't think he's
know.
ever going to. Yeah.
All
right.
Well, the last we've heard was there's going to be 3 animated Game of Thrones shows from R.R. Martin, right? an animated series in the works, including the Sea Snakes show. Remember the Jon Snow?
I
he
know
reported
they're
on
making new live action stuff. I don't remember them talking about, like, I'm sure that could be in the plans, but
Yeah.
anything George R. Martin says he's going to do, I'll believe it when I see it. Like, I mean, listen, no disrespect, but I mean,
I get it.
he
yeah.
doesn't do the things he says he's going to do. So, I mean, I'll believe it when I see it. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Sholo who says, "Hey guys, hope you had a good weekend. My question is, will Deadpool and Wolverine be the only billion-dollar movie of the year? I checked upcoming movies and I don't see any that I believe can join the billion-dollar club. Maybe Joker, but it's not a lock. Thanks."
Yeah, Joker's a strong possibility. I personally don't think Joker will get to $1 billion, but I think it's going to make a lot of money. But Joker is definitely one of the possibilities. I will say this, though. Remember, the 2 films last year that did join the $1 billion club were movies that nobody saw joining the $1 billion club. Super Mario, although I did say I thought it would be people said I was crazy when I said I thought it could be the top grossing film of the year. It did join the $1 billion club, but most people did not think it would, understandably. And I don't know anybody personally that before Barbie came out said, I think Barbie's going to make $1 billion. I don't know anybody that thought that. So I have a feeling that, Joker aside, because Joker could be one, I think if there are other films that join the $1 billion club this year, it'll be like a Mario Brothers or a Barbie thing that jumps out of nowhere. Now, somebody's saying Beetlejuice 2. I don't buy that. Mufasa might be a possibility.
I have one.
What's that?
That I would put money on. If I could only put money on one, I would probably put it on Minions.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, Minions has a chance. I wouldn't put money on it, but I think you're right. I think that one's got a shot.
I think we're gonna have a year where
Well, it's Despicable Me.
Yeah.
What is it called? 4. Yeah, it's not, but still.
I think this year we're gonna have a lot of close ones, but I don't see any of the movies we have this year really. I can feel confident in actually getting there.
Moana 2 could possibly. I mean, you look at how popular that franchise is now.
There's Wicked, but I don't think Wicked's gonna get it.
I think Wicked will.
You think Wicked will?
I think Wicked will. Again,
if it's
all
good.
depends on if it's good or not,
Yeah,
right?
yeah,
But I
yeah.
mean, it's Wicked absolutely has the potential. Wicked completely has the potential to do it.
I would love to see it make it, just because.
Yeah, so there could be a few. All right, what's next?
All right, we got that goal horn guy. Hey John, long time, first time. I'm the Florida Panthers goal horn operator.
That's awesome.
I was hoping for a Leafs Panthers rematch this playoffs. Anyway, bought Deadpool Wolverine tickets for Thursday night so I can avoid any cameo spoilers over the weekend. Thanks.
I'll be, first of all, good on you for getting tickets for Thursday. Here's the thing. I don't think finding out who's going to cameo actually spoils anything. I've gone into a lot of movies where I knew certain cameos were going to happen, and it didn't take away my experience of seeing it at all. Again, I honestly think, I don't think spoilers are that big of a deal, unless they're spoilers that give away the crux of the movie. Like finding out that he was a ghost the whole time.
Oh, that would, yeah.
Yeah, finding out that he had actually landed on a futuristic Earth. Finding out that he's talking about his sled. That Rosebud is his sled. I mean, unless you're talking about...
John, you just spoiled 3
Spoiled
movies
everything.
for people.
But-
Finding out that they were going to push him out of his apartment window.
or you know, who Kaiser Soze is, or whatever. Like, there are spoilers that knowing that fundamentally changes your entire experience of the movie.
Yeah.
Right? Like, if you know who Kaiser Soze is, that changes the way you watch the entire movie. Finding out somebody pops up for 5 minutes, where that doesn't change the fundamental, at least for me. But I mean, enjoy, man. A lot of us got our tickets already, and I think this movie's going to be really big. All right, what's next?
All right, we got Raph from State Farm. John, did you see the Assassin's Creed Shadows reveal? Based in the 1600s with Yusuke as one of the main characters, and of course, the dumb drama around that. It's a shame because he was actually a real historical figure, and he looks so badass.
I have no idea what we're talking about. Is this a
I
new
didn't,
game?
is there a new one?
Okay, so in the
Is this a
new,
new
yes,
game or
in
a
the
new
new
movie?
Assassin's Creed game, there are two main characters, and the main male character is a black samurai.
Oh, who was the actual? Yeah, that's
And they did
right
a
from
show
the
about him.
1600s. That's
They
right.
did a show
yeah.
about him. There's
Yeah.
a show. I think it's an animated series, and then there's a female character as well. And of course, people are up in arms. I just think it's cool. They're doing. Look, after Ghost of Tsushima, take me back to Japan, man.
And also, people have been
And
like,
Shogun.
And Shogun.
everyone has been like, as far as Assassin's Creed fans have been saying, like, take it to like Asia somewhere.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah.
All right, what's next?
all right, Gary Buechler says, so the rumor is that Fast 11 will go back to its roots with a more intimate street story. That's disappointing, as I was expecting this movie to launch the next Star Wars trilogy and for Dom to ride a dinosaur in space while wielding a samurai sword.
Well, here's the thing. You know what brought that about? It wasn't inspiration. It was Universal going to them and saying, you don't get the same budget that you got for 10. You just don't. You're going to get half the budget. Figure out a way to make this work.
It's going to be barbecue at Moz.
And you know what? I think there are going to be a lot of true Fast and Furious fans who are going to embrace this.
Thank God.
Yes. I see. Like, make it back. If you're going to end it off the franchise, bring it back to what it started as. Like, local folks having barbecues and racing cars.
And stealing
throwing a
DVD
and
players.
throwing a heist, right? And throwing a heist. Bring it back to that, and I think that's a good way to end your franchise.
And you could bring up like a fresh, like we've all seen like car movies, like how the shots in them. Maybe if they give us a new sort of thing like Hawkeye did with that chase scene. If they give us something like a brand new look, even if it's a street level movie, like it could be a really good
It can be
movie.
innovative.
Well, John, you know what was really interesting about the first Fast and Furious movie? You had all these different ethnic groups that live in LA. Like you had your Japanese or your Asian biker gang. And it's like Los Angeles. You've got all these different ethnic groups that have their car cultures in them. Like when I first moved to LA, I came from Seattle. We didn't have like a lowrider, the Chicano LA car culture. And I was fascinated. I go to all these different events and I met all these incredible artists that would paint, do the really awesome exterior paint jobs on the cars. And there was all this meaning behind it all. And I thought it was so fascinating. And the first Fast and the Furious had that in there. LA is a fascinating place. Bring it back to LA.
Yep.
Let's celebrate the culture of Los Angeles. Let's celebrate the car culture. And let's not have secret agents or spies or drones or any of that crap, and put it on the streets of Los Angeles, and let's see some mayhem on the 7th Street Bridge.
Just don't take the metro.
Bring it back.
Take the Metro.
Well,
All right, what's next?
Eric July says, I now understand why you want the X-Men to be separate from everyone else. Why is that people hate mutants but are cool with Spidey, Thor, and other heroes with abilities? Why are they immune to the bigotry? Do you think the MCU will tackle this issue?
I'm really not sure. I mean, listen, and again, that's something that goes beyond the MCU. That's always been something that I don't think the comic books themselves have ever adequately addressed.
Well, I mean, no, because mutants are human beings are Homo sapiens.
Yes.
Mutants are Homo superior, meaning their genetic structure actually threatens to replace Homo sapiens, us, human beings. And Magneto has always been like, look, we are superior people. We are genetically the next advancement of what humanity, like Cro-Magnons, will die out. And Homo superior will be what's remaining. We're supposed to be the next evolution of mankind. And I think that while they don't lean into it a lot, he's right.
Okay. Yeah, but
Team Magneto.
here's been my point though about this, is that whether it was by birth that you got it or something else that you got it. Look, I'll put this out there. The Fantastic Four are mutants. They were mutated.
Yeah, they were.
They were mutated by something else. Captain America wasn't by a solar flare force. It was by what his term of modern medicine. Captain America, Steve Rogers, is a mutant. He was mutated. Like all these heroes, Hulk is a mutant. He was mutated by gamma radiation. Now, so it's just been one of those things that I get why, like, the upper crust of academia may look at it and say, well, the ones who were born this way might be, but the general public at large, like when they see somebody flying across the sky with lasers coming out of their eyes, they have no idea, was that person born that way or turned that way by a barrel of toxic ooze, or was it by that? To them, it would make no difference. It's just that you're a superpowered being. and I'm not.
Well, it's like Gattaca. You know, once you can start genetically engineering people, normal people suddenly are kind of shunted to the side. You see, what's so great about that movie is if our technology is going to make people genetically superior, what happens to those that can't afford it or are left behind? And I think that movie does a great job. I mean, Gattaca is a movie about mutants. Gattaca is like an X-Men movie.
Yeah.
And it does a really good job. And by the way, that movie is one of the best science fiction films of the last 30 years.
I still have to see it.
Gattaca.
That's one of those I've just never.
Oh, it's a
seen.
good one.
really
it's a good
good.
one. Yeah.
What
All
a
right.
cast.
What's next?
All right. Ryan says you are the greatest YouTuber. It would be an honor to have you and Rob on FNT. So there's your invite.
I generally don't do guest spots on other shows, but thank you. All right. What's next?
Vestal says, hi, John and team. I have a jump all question or jump all in question, I think he means. In your opinion, which actor, actress had the best calendar year in the movie business? Not limited to box office, could be awards or noms, virtue of having multiple best reviewed projects. I know that for a while, I think it was like 07. It was whenever Planet of the Apes came out.
With Heston?
Well, no, but before that, Mark Wahlberg just had this year where like he was just in everything.
Yeah, well, you know what kicked that off? It was his appearance in The Departed really kicked that off for him.
He was so good. I just recently rewatched
In The Departed?
it. Oh my God.
He got nominated for an Oscar for that.
I could watch that performance. I think they should have done Dignan. They should have done a whole movie about that character because Wahlberg, that might be his best role ever. Him and Dirk Diggler.
And then this
Boogie
year,
Nights.
Paul Walter Hauser.
Yeah, but honest, look, it's a very, very good question, but it's not one I can just answer off the top of my head. It's one I'd have to sit down and start looking at movie calendars and stuff like that. I mean, obviously there have been years that George Clooney, there were questions about which movie does he get nominated for in this category. I mean, so it's, again, great question. By all means, guys, discuss it in the comments, but it's not one I can just do off the top of my head. I'd have to actually really, really think about it. All right, what's next?
All right. Before this was Anonymous, who just said that they're kind of sick of toxic YouTubers. They mentioned, I don't want to get into who they're mentioning, but just that they kind of grift off the negativity. So we don't like grifting off negativity either. So I'll just go with that.
I get that. Look, hate sells. That's why I have a rule.
Except modern Star Trek.
It's funny you should mention that. I have a rule that if I really don't like a movie, I will say I don't like a movie. I'll make a video about why I didn't like a movie, and then I move the fuck on.
Yeah.
Now this weekend, I actually did a second video about Madam Web because it is, of course, now the #1 streaming film on Netflix. I sit down to do a rewatch of it with my wife who'd never seen it, Ray, who hadn't really seen it, Ryan, who hadn't seen it. And I talked about my Spears now revisiting. Maybe it wasn't as bad as we thought. So yes, I did do a second video about Madam Web. But generally speaking, life is too short to me to focus on the things you don't like. And when you're focusing on the things you don't like, all you're really doing is trying to evoke hate. And so, I watch a movie I don't like. Take Snake Eyes, for example, right? The G.I. Joe film Snake Eyes. I wanted to love it. I hated it. So I did my quick out of theater review, and then we did our full review, said I hate it, and I've never made another video about it since. But hate gets clicks. It does.
But there's also legitimate, if you don't like something, there's legitimate film criticism. Like looking into Madam Web, you could make a really interesting video about how it doesn't work as a film. So there's no other agenda other than you're looking at it as a movie.
But not make 8 videos about that.
Sure.
That's what I'm saying. Like you make your case, you say why you didn't like it. But then once you've done that, move on. To me, my philosophy about doing YouTube, blogging, podcasting, YouTubing has always been, I want to talk about things I love.
Yeah.
Right. And that's why I think whenever you go to my YouTube channel and you look through all the videos that are on the front page, there damn well better be at minimum, an 8-to-2 ratio of for every 10 videos that you'll see, 8 of them are talking about things I like. And maybe 2 out of the 10 will be things I don't like, because that's what I want my fandom to be about, not about finding something I don't like and then harping on that thing over and over and over and over and over again. But for some bloggers, podcasters, whatever, that's the only way they can get any attention. So that's what they do.
I just want you to know, John, I have refrained from talking about Discovery season 5. I bit my
I'm proud
tongue.
of you.
I bit my tongue and I said, you know what? No more. I go off on Twitter occasionally, just a few, but I have not. It's what are we 9? We're on the 9th episode this week. I haven't made one video about it. And I've turned over a new leaf.
But there's a big difference too, like going off of just, and this will be real quick, of what John's talking about is about actual criticism, even your criticism with like Star Trek, and a concerted effort to turn it into a political agenda that you were trying to then almost brainwash people or gaslight people into believing
when you
and
cross
over
a
and over
line,
and
there's a
over.
difference between saying, here's why I don't like it.
Yeah.
At some point, it crosses line into, I'm going to get you to not like it too. And at that point, now you are a toxic presence in fandom. Like whenever you cross that point from saying, look, I hated this movie and here's why I hated it. But once you just keep going on and on and on, like if I made about 5 different videos that now I'm crossing the line from, I now need to convince you not to like it too. It's like, dude.
Well, even further than that, if you haven't convinced me, then I'm the problem.
Yeah, exactly. You're exactly.
That's the coward move of if you like something, then they judge you based on that you liking that, or they call you something like a shill or something and try to make anyone who likes this movie is this. It's like that judgmental thing is like, it's just, I have to rub it off my shoulder.
Yeah, I don't think it's right. Look, I like a lot of things that I will admit are questionable. I'll flat out say that there's, but here's the thing. I will never criticize anybody for liking something. You should never take anyone's joy away.
Yeah.
Because I like all different kinds of things for different reasons. And there are people that will look at me and go, for all your talking mad shit about everything, you like this? And I have a reason why I like it. It might be terrible. I will defend Fritz Kirsch's Tough Turf to my dying days. If you want to see a movie with Ultron and Iron Man, I will show it to you. And Jack Mack and the heart attack and one of the wives of Beverly Hills. Fritz Kirsch.
That's why I still
Tough Turf,
defend
1985.
This is why I still defend the pirate movie. I love the pirate movie.
Christy McNichol.
Yeah.
Christy McNichol's in you should defend the pirate movie.
All right. We still got a lot to get through. Let's keep going here. What's
we're
next?
almost through it here. Itsy Bitsy Spider. This is going to be about Madam Web. John, Cassandra didn't ask the Spider Tribe to come with her back to New York because they didn't have kidnapping charges against them, so they couldn't get on a flight. Ray, what did you think of Madam Web round 2? I don't think he was done
for
round
Ray, it
1.
was really round 1.
Yeah. That movie is terrible. I was trying to find redeeming stuff from what I saw when we were in theater. I saw maybe an hour of it. I slept through a huge part in the middle. But now, after watching it and adding that middle part to what I already saw, yeah, it's terrible.
One of the things I didn't notice, a terrible thing I didn't notice from the first time I watched it, was like, of course, she goes into the jungle, right? And that's a whole nother bowl of soup. But she goes into the jungle and she finds the guy who delivered her as a baby and all that kind of stuff. And he says, "Oh, he's evil, Ezekiel. He took our spider and blah, blah, blah." It's like, as she's getting ready to leave, why don't she turn and say, "Hey, you know what? Quick idea. You spider people of the Peruvian jungles seem to have a lot of powers. This dude, Ezekiel, he's a real problem for us. He stole one of your spiders, murdered a woman in your jungle, happened to be my mother. Why don't you come along and help me take this guy down?" No, very busy. Very busy. Many TikToks to make. Can't come help you fight this guy.
My favorite part of that movie was just seeing all the food they ordered at that diner. That's it. They ordered everything. It looked so good.
They were so hungry.
All right, what's next?
All right,
It was so good it made them dance on the tables.
Yeah, we got a few more here. Ken B saw If this weekend. It was an emotional roller coaster. I just lost my mom about a month ago.
Oh no, sorry to hear that.
Yep, and my dad and I spent half the movie in tears. Understandable. Not sure I was ready to be hit with in the feels that much. It was very cathartic.
Tell you what, there was one of the early reactions that I fully understood what they meant after I saw it was, the movie starts off as a charming kids movie and it ends as a punch you in the emotional guts adult movie. And then like watching the movie, I'm like, oh, now I get it. And like I said, my wife Ann like ugly cried through half of it. And look, all film is subjective. No judgment to any of the half of the critics that didn't like it. Half of them liked it, half of them didn't. No judgment to the ones that didn't. But there's a reason this thing has an A cinema score. and has an 87% audience rating. And I would really recommend people. I'm not saying it's one of the best films of the year and it's going to be nominated for Best Picture. Do not get me wrong. I'm not saying that at all. But it's a really charming, warm, beautiful little movie. Check it out if you can. All right, what's next?
Stubble McShave says, last week George Lucas turned 80. I know. I can't
Yeah.
believe it. Which of his movies do you think is his favorite? Also, do you think he will make any more movies that will have a wide release?
I think he's done making movies. I think he's let that be known a long time ago. I mean, he toyed with the idea. What was the movie he produced about the World War II?
Red Tails.
Red Tails. Thank you. He toyed for the idea a while about maybe directing Red Tails, and he ultimately decided against us. I don't think we're going to see him direct again, although I'd be curious to see it. I think he would say American. I'm just guessing. I think he would say American Graffiti is his favorite film.
That was my guess too.
I totally agree with you because it's his life.
Yeah.
You know, he really was able to recreate his life, and that movie endures. It's a great movie, although that 4K is terrible. Please redo it, Universal. What were you thinking?
And by the way, I know a lot of you guys watching have never seen American Graffiti. You want to see where it all started? Go. It's a good movie, man. Yeah. It's a really good movie. Go check it out. All right, what's next?
Last one here is Zelda Master says 2 words, conference finals. Don't know how to reconcile my emotions as a Timberwolves fan right now.
They got it done. Listen, they throttled the Nuggets in the first 2 games, and everybody thought it was going to be a sweep. And then the Nuggets were like, oh, by the way, everybody remember, we're the defending champions. And then won 3 games in a row. And then the Wolves came back to do it. So good on them. I mean, we got Ant-Man in the conference finals. We got Luka in the conference finals. That's going to be a good matchup. Then in the East, we're going to have Boston and Indiana, which is an interesting matchup. But so it's going to be pretty cool.
We're going to have some good finals.
Yeah, it's going to be some good semis
I can't even
too.
pick it. I can't even pick it. But I will say the Wolves, what they did in this last series, shows a championship team, a caliber team.
Yep.
To be down by that much.
Here's why I say I don't see a championship team yet. Next year they could be. Inconsistency. Massive inconsistency. So they're going to need more than that. Anyway.
Ooh.
All right.
I'm with you though. I'm with the Wolves, baby. Woo!
What's next?
Okay. Gonna move on to our members now. Foggy Knight says, just finished watching the Apple series Sugar starring Colin Farrell and I really enjoyed it. Was just curious if you've gotten a chance to see the show. Farrell is spectacular. I cannot wait to see him in Penguin.
No, Farrell is spectacular. He's always great, but I've not had a chance to start watching the show yet. It is on my list. I'm going to get around to it, but I haven't gotten there yet.
Don't ever read anything about it.
Right. You told me there's a huge twist, so I'm going to avoid everything.
Me either. It was this weekend, it was between starting Sugar or The Offer, and I went The Offer.
All right. What's next?
Brandon says, went to one of the early Garfield screenings yesterday.
Nice.
This is a peak. Play in the playground for kids type of movie. It's not bad. It's just the epitome of okay. I will say that my theater was completely sold out, so I expect some big business from this weekend.
That's when I was shocked, man, because when they said, oh, we're going to do these big nationwide early screenings, I thought, okay, and we'll see, we'll get tickets. They're all sold out everywhere.
What have I missed?
Sold out. I don't know.
What's going on, man?
All right, what's next?
I'm out of touch and old.
Dominic asks, do you like the Godzilla films more when he was presented as de facto protagonist or when he's more the antagonist?
Really, what you're asking is, do you prefer the modern North American version of Godzilla or the Japanese version of Godzilla? Look, people get mad at me when I say this, but I haven't heard anybody make a counter argument. The traditional Godzilla movies, even like Godzilla -1, which I loved Godzilla -1, but they're like zombie movies. They're all essentially the same. Japan's doing its thing. Yeah. Oh no, it's Godzilla. Godzilla stomps around. We try to find a way to temporarily stop him, but he's going to come back. So they're all kind of essentially the same. Versus something like, Godzilla X Kong, where he's more of a protector. He's a protector rather than a destructive force of nature. He's a protector, and it's utterly ridiculous and silly, and he's running like this and whatever.
Could happen.
I think I prefer maybe it's an over-romanticized thing. I think I prefer the idea of Godzilla as the protector more than as the destructive force of nature that's going to kill us all. But that's not to say that I think Godzilla X Kong is a better movie than Godzilla Minus One because it ain't. But I think I kind of prefer that idea. Rob, you're more into the history of Godzilla. Which one is the appeals to you the most?
I mean, it's like you said, it's kind of what kind of a movie it is, because there's the Godzilla movies where he's either fighting a monster or teaming up with monsters to fight other monsters, and there's not a whole lot going on movie-wise.
Right.
But I really enjoyed the high C era of Godzilla movies, the 90s era, when they legitimately told some really interesting sci-fi stories like Ghidorah and Godzilla versus Mothra, that version, Godzilla versus Space Godzilla. But like you said, I mean, Godzilla, the last Toho Godzilla before Godzilla Minus One was Shin Godzilla.
Yep.
And in Shin Godzilla, they showed the movie was about, well, how does the Japanese version of FEMA deal with a Godzilla incursion or attack? And I'm like, well, that's interesting, because we'd never really seen that before, and it was all about what would the politics be, or what would happen if something like this actually occurred. But the character of Godzilla, it does get a little same, and it does get a little repetitive, but to me it really depends. It's a movie, I take it on a movie by movie basis.
All right, what's next?
All right, we got Jared Vester, who says Cillian Murphy seems to now officially be in 28 Years Later, but it sounds closer to a cameo, or maybe a little more than a cameo.
I haven't heard anything about that. I just heard he's going to be in it, that he was committed to be in it. I haven't heard anything about how much he's going to be in it.
If you're going to get a name like Cillian Murphy, I don't see why he would be just a side character. I would think he would be,
especially now that he's an Oscar winner.
Yeah.
And after living for 28 years in this situation, outrunning the rage virus, he's like got to be a Superman.
I mean, he's still kind of the primary character of the franchise, even though he wasn't in the second one. I mean, like, that would seem a weird choice to me if they did that, but I mean, who knows?
By the way, that second one, 28 Weeks Later, is a banger.
I didn't like it as much as the first one.
Well, not as much, but it's still, for a sequel, it's really good.
Yeah,
Decent.
It's got the full Monty guy.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's the lead in it. All right, what's next?
Okay, we got Luis, who says, I was wondering how big was the drop-off of Apes movie from its opening weekend. I had said 50%, but I got a feeling it might have been more.
It fell right into that acceptable range. Remember, we always say that where you're going to feel comfortable with your second weekend box office is between 50 and 60%, right? I thought it was going to be around 50. It was 55. So it still ended up right in there in that 50 to 60 range. Anything more than 60, you get worried. Anything less than 50, you start popping bottles. So it was 55%.
Yeah.
Was
And it's up to like 250 million worldwide.
Yeah.
And that's what, because it's such a huge opening, Deadpool may have like a 60+ drop, but where it's going to make the money is if it actually maintains 50 or better.
Well, don't forget, like people get too tied up in the numbers sometimes, because remember, Endgame had something like a 70% drop off on week 2, but that was because everybody saw it.
Yeah.
The bigger an opening weekend a movie has, like especially once you start going over $100 million opening weekend, then you can kind of expect maybe a larger than 60% drop off, just because everybody's already seen it. And that's what happened with Spider-Man No Way Home as well. It had a very big second weekend drop off because everybody saw it in its opening week. So you can expect the same thing for Deadpool.
I think Deadpool, if it's as funny, people like funny, and they'll go back and see it again because they'll go with their friends because the jokes are good. So if it's a good movie, I bet it has a strong second week hold.
Listen, it'll have a strong second weekend. But I'm just saying, if it has like 150 million opening weekend, I think if it gets like a 55 or 60 million second weekend,
that's still incredible.
That's more than, say, a 60% drop, but that's incredible for a second weekend, right?
Yes.
All right, let's take a couple more. What's next?
Okay, we got King Daddy Goat, who says, hey, John and crew, great open mic last night. John, I spent the weekend discovering the Righteous Gemstones. Dude, it's on my list because I love Eastbound and Down. And all I can say is, Jesus, if you guys seen it, what are your thoughts? Thanks, bring on the filthy.
As somebody who spent a lot of time in those pseudo circles, it's brilliant. The Righteous Gemstones is brilliant
and hilarious,
funny. It's, and again, like, is it like the best show that's out there? No, but it's one that I really, really enjoyed a lot. If you get a chance to check it out, the cast is fantastic. Goodman is incredible. Go check it out. All right, last question of the day. What's next?
Foggy Night says, locked in my Deadpool Wolverine tickets. I'm so excited. What movie was the all-time movie you were most excited to see? Mine has to be Force Awakens or Endgame. Probably, unfortunately, Phantom Menace for me.
I think Phantom Menace. Yeah, I mean, Deadpool and Wolverine is ranking up there, but you just listen, you got to understand that I grew up as a Star Wars psychopath, and I don't know that I didn't know if other people kind of shared that or not. And for a lot of my life, we thought it was done. Star Wars is done, and then they said they were doing another one, and it changed the world. I mean, it changed. I did an entire chapter in my documentary, Movie Trailers: A Love Story, just about the Phantom Menace trailer that changed everything. The Phantom Menace trailer changed everything. So yeah, I think I got to say that I don't know that I've ever been as excited for an upcoming movie as the Phantom Menace. Rob, what about you?
There's one movie, and you have to understand I was 12 years old, and what it meant to me was the world, or I dare say the universe. Star Trek: The Motion Picture.
Oh yeah, of course.
Yeah.
That was the most eagerly because like with Star Wars, we thought it was over. There
It's
were
like
rumors.
you and
there
Mance. That's
that was the most. I was out of my mind.
The first Spider-Man for me.
Oh,
Toby,
get that for
when
a
it
lot of
first came
people.
out.
Yeah,
That's
the
all
first
we have-
Spider-Man.
I
Yeah.
brought my action figure with me.
because I had been like imagining like scenes of like if they ever made when I was in junior high, way before the movie came out, like what a Spider-Man movie could look like. So I know that feeling.
Yeah, it was great.
And like the first X-Men movie. It's like,
Yeah.
what? Like that was a big one too.
That was the first time I walked out of a theater and I look at Ann. We were just kids, and I was like, "Let's go buy tickets again." You couldn't reserve tickets at that time. You had to go
You
actually
had to
to the
get
window,
in line at the box office,
and
and
then
buy
it was already sold out because the line.
Yeah, man.
The
You
next
remember
showing, the
those
line-
days going to the theater and you're like, let's get there early, and it's
standing in
sold
line for the
out.
box office. Hey, you know what? Sir Malston brought up one for, I'm sure not for me, but for a lot of people, when the first Harry Potter movie was coming out, because
yeah.
the books were such a phenom. And yeah, but again, for me, it's going to be Star Wars: The Phantom Menace. Unfortunately, but that's what it is.
It's so much like Fanboys, man. The ending of that.
But the lead up to that movie was insane. I mean,
Oh yeah.
it was because no one thought it would ever happen.
I had to save 17 seats in the Chinese theater for Phantom Menace,
Oh,
and I almost had a panic attack.
Yeah, dude, I can't even imagine.
I can't.
By the
believe
way,
they did
just
that to you.
Vanessa T in the live chat is asking, is there going to be a ticket watch today? The tickets are already on
We just
sale.
watched it. They're gone.
This-
They're gone, baby. They're
yeah.
gone.
Ticket watch is about, starting a stream a half hour before they go on sale and then monitoring what happens. The tickets went on sale at 6 a.m. this
But
morning.
we're
There's
still
no
open
ticket watch
Garfield,
today.
right? Garfield
Oh, yeah,
ticket watch?
absolutely. Ticket watch for Garfield. Oh, no.
Yes.
All right, guys, and that'll do it for today's installment of the John Campea Show podcast. Thank you so much for being here and making this little show part of your day. Big special thank you to all you guys who sent in those questions. By the way, just a reminder, from moving forward, if you want to send in a question for the John Campea Show, you don't have to wait anymore for the show to be live. You can use our tip link that you can go and send in your question anytime 24/7 at streamelements.com/John Campea/tip. All right, guys. So for the people in the room with me, Ray Ora, Jonathan Voico,
See you guys later.
writer, director, producer Robert Meyer Burnett.
Goodbye.
My name's John Campea. Thanks a lot for being here, guys. And until next time, my friends, bye-bye.